Hello everyone, welcome to Live, Work, Improve. This is the place where we discuss everything and anything on how to improve the way we work and ultimately the way we live. Now, today we're going to talk about work. Yeah, I know, who wants to talk about work? But today's topic is actually something I know a little bit about and it's very special to me. So please enjoy. So yes, today's topic is thriving in a consulting career. Now, why am I making this video? Well, there are many reasons for that, but one of the primary reasons is because over the years I have seen many young professionals quickly burn out, quickly get disillusioned with the consulting career, give up too early, they don't last long enough, and they really don't thrive. They just go about their day, they get through a couple of years of experience and then they jump. I've also worked a lot with many young professionals in the capacity of mentorship and counseling, and the feedback that I constantly get is, can I get some suggestions? Can I get some tips? Can I get some information about how I can make the best out of my career? So I decided, instead of me working one-on-one with certain individuals here and there, I wanted to put all of this in writing, I guess, in a recording, so that if anyone can benefit from my experience, if anyone can benefit from the knowledge that I have gathered over the years, then I would feel much better. I wanted to find a way to pay it forward. Over the years, I've had people who have helped me, who have supported me, mentored me. I have learned a lot of things, and I wanted to share that with everyone. Now, I do want to make sure that it's clear that this is anecdotal experience. This is not based on some kind of scientific research. This is based on my own personal learnings from my long career, and I hope this is something that can help you as well. So what qualifies me to provide this information? Well, I wanted to introduce myself. I have approximately 20 years of consulting experience. I've done both technical and business consulting over the years. And as I mentioned, I have worked extensively with young professionals involved in things such as interviewing, recruiting, mostly mentorship, counseling, and also I have delivered a lot of training over the years. In addition to that, as part of my role, I have developed several new joiner programs to help these young professionals get their feet on the ground, get going, and be successful in their careers. Now, usually I only have either a one-on-one or a small group. So with this, I am able to reach a lot more people, and like I said, I hope that this is very helpful because these 10 things that I'm about to teach you were key for me and have been crucial for others that I have helped over the years, and I'm pretty sure that they will be helpful to you as well. Now, what are the challenges that I usually see in consulting? Primarily, there's a lot of burnout. And why that happens? Because people start to really work hard. They don't take everything into consideration. They just think about work, work, work. I need to impress. I need to be successful. I need to gain an edge over the competition. Work is hard. I gotta do what I gotta do. And then when they realize they're basically burnt out. And that's when a lot of people decide to quit. They start bashing consulting as, hey, this is just my way in, and I'm just going to go and get another job. And ultimately, there's a lot of disillusionment, as I said, with consulting. Now, a lot of times that happens because people don't have a plan. They don't know what they want to do, and that's actually what we're going to discuss in a couple of minutes. One thing I do want to make sure that everyone understands is what this is not. Number one, this is not a guide on how to get a job in consulting. If you're watching this video, you're already there. Even though I've done a lot of interviewing, I'm not going to tell you how to interview, what questions or what are the most important things that recruiters are looking for. That's not what this is. Also, even though eventually you're going to need to sharpen your technical and business skills, this particular video is not that. This is a video to help you understand what are the 10 key things that you need to do over the course of your career to be successful and thrive. And the last thing I wanted to say was, this video is not for people who are planning on quitting consulting after a couple of years to get another job, to go to industry. If that's your plan, that's for you to decide, but this video is not going to help you with that. I hope that this video instead can help you gain different perspective on how to view consulting as a long-term career. So, without further ado, let's start. Now, the following are not in any particular order, but the first thing that I wanted to talk to you about was value. What do I mean by value? It's what in consulting we call the value proposition. What that means is, you as an individual, you have to find your value in different perspectives. Now, what is your individual value proposition? What do you as a professional bring to the table? What is your value to the team? Obviously, you're going to be working in teams, so you need to understand what is your place in that team. What makes you different? What is your differentiator? That's something else that contributes to creating your value proposition. Tangible outcomes and credibility. That is something that you're going to need to start building over the course of your career. And that is one of the biggest contributors to you having a long-term career, is if you're able to continuously provide value and bring something to the table, you will continuously be able to get work, you will continuously be able to be successful, and you will be able to grow in your career, which is obviously what you want to do. You don't want to be stagnant. Now, what else is important as part of a comprehensive career in consulting? The next thing I want to talk to you about is brand. Now, what do I mean by brand? Since you're creating value for yourself, you need to be able to be recognized for something. One of the key things about having a successful career in consulting is being known by multiple people, because you're going to have to be known by people that you work with. You're going to have to be known by people that are in your organization, and you're also going to have to be known by people that you work for, which is your clients. And usually what happens is, before you even become part of a project or part of some kind of work, people will already know who you are by what I call the brand. Now, some of the key elements of building a brand include, for example, defining a signature. It's something that you utilize, that you leave behind. It's the impression that people keep of you. Like I said, lasting impression. It's what you leave behind after you're done. The perception. That's something that people are going to have once they work with you, and others are going to know about it based on your brand. The reputation, again, very important. The identity. You have to decide, how do you want people to know you, and what are some of the things that you want people to think of you when they are thinking of your name, for example. And the positioning of your brand. You want to make sure that you are highly regarded, that you are well known, and that positioning is on a positive, from a positive perspective. Because if you start building a brand that is kind of towards the negative, then also that's going to work against you. And that's not something you want if you want to build a sustainable career over time. Now, what is the next thing that you need, the next key thing that you need to keep in mind when building a successful career? Yes, it's your network. Why is this important? Because you can't do everything by yourself. Even though you might have a high value proposition, you could be very well regarded, your brand could be very well regarded. It doesn't matter if you don't have a group of individuals who are going to be there for you. There is many different areas of the network. There is a network that is strategic. So when you're thinking about your long-term growth, you have key people who are there to help you. You obviously need internal resources, internal people to your company that are going to vouch for you, that are going to help you, but it's not just that. It's also, you need to know who you can go to whenever something arises, whenever a need arises. As you progress through your career, you're going to reach a point where you're going to build teams and you're going to get work organized. In order for you to be successful at that, you're going to need to know who to go to. External resources, very important as well. As you go from one client to another client, as you go from one piece of work to another piece of work, you're going to start building those relationships, and those relationships are the ones that are going to ultimately help you long term. Now, knowledge-based. What do I mean by that? Is if you can't assume that you know everything or that you have all the answers. So whenever there is something that you don't know that you need help with, there's always going to be someone that is going to know what you need to know or is going to be an expert at that. And that's the kind of network that you need to build. Because as you start expanding your scope, you're going to have information that you're not going to have. But if you know the right person, then you can very, very quickly get the answers that you need. Now, online. What do I mean by that? Your network is going to be primarily based on people that you know in person. But nowadays, there's a lot of stuff that's happening in social media. There's a lot of stuff that's happening on the internet. So you're gonna start building a network that is also online based. These are individuals that you're not gonna see necessarily in person, but you maintain connection with them. And just as they help you, you help them, and you pay it forward. And talent mapping. What do I mean by talent mapping? Actually, I just explained it. It's really just categorizing your network between these are the individuals who know these things. These are the individuals who are important for this. These are the individuals who are connected here, and these are the groups of people that I can also provide support to. For example, in my case, I work, like I said, a lot with young professionals, so I am part of their network. So that you have to have that talent mapping already set up so that you can be part of that community and you can contribute when needed and they can contribute to you. It's all a complete ecosystem. Now, what's the next thing that we need to keep in mind for developing a thriving and successful career in consulting? And mentorship. And I briefly touched upon this a few minutes ago. But this is extremely important because as you start building your career, you're going to be new. You're not going to know how the industry works. You're not going to know how project work works. You're not going to understand the logistics. You're not going to understand a lot of things. And if you start trying to figure this out on your own, it's going to be very difficult. It's going to be time consuming, and you're probably not going to get it right. But if you surround yourself with people who are there to help you, and most consulting companies, if not all of them, will have or will be able to provide that, you need to take advantage of that, because a mentor is going to give you wisdom. That person is going to have years of experience doing this. They're going to have a lot of lessons learned, like myself, and they're going to be able to transfer that knowledge and that wisdom over to you. In addition to that, they're going to help you with the direction of your career. When you're new, you usually don't know what you want to do. However, these individuals can help you form that vision, that view of the future that it's important for you to develop a thriving career. Once you have that key vision, these individuals are going to be able to help you with the roadmap that you need and to track that progression. And in a little bit, we're going to talk about why that's important. Over the course of your career, there's going to be key decisions that you need to take care of, that you need to make. And you you want to be careful when you make those decisions. It's always best to consult with someone before you make those decisions, because then you can get an idea about the pros and cons, and you can get some advice on where to go. And the last thing I wanted to mention about mentorship is the concept of sponsorship. In addition to having someone who can help you and guide you, in order for you to progress, you're going to have people at the top who are going to be willing to vouch for you. And they're called sponsors. They may not be your mentors, there may or may not be. They may not be your counselors, but these are individuals who have some kind of decision-making power, who know the value that you bring to the table, who are aware of your brand, who are also part of your network, and are able to put themselves on the line for you. Now, what other key things are important for a successful career? Well, as I mentioned a second ago, you gotta have a plan. Because if you come in and you don't know what you're gonna do, and as I mentioned in my other slide, if you just have a plan to go through this for 2 years and then move on, then this is not for you. But if you are gonna stay around for a long time and you wanna make sure that you have a successful career, then yes, you're gonna have to have some sort of strategy, some kind of plan. Why? Because like any other part of your life, if you don't know where you're going, if you don't have clear view and line of sight into what you want to do, then you're not gonna achieve those goals. You're not gonna achieve that milestone because you don't know what it is in the first place. So the first thing you gotta do is have a vision. Once you have a vision, once you have a strategy, you can create a roadmap, and more specifically, you can set goals for yourself. Now, these have to be clear goals and achievable, and I think there's a whole lot of information on the internet about how they need to be smart and all that. So we're not gonna get into that. But one thing that's important here is you need to take ownership of that. Once you set that strategy, you need to take ownership. At the end of the day, what you want to do is you want to get to a well-rounded career progression. That includes using your network, setting your brand, establishing the value proposition for yourself. All of that comes into play. Now, what is the next key thing that I want to tell you about? Work-life balance, of course. Why? Because initially you might be able to afford working hard, working long hours, but as I mentioned, a lot of people burn out. That's the stage where they're like, you know what, I'm done with this. I can't sustain it. The reason for that is because people think that consulting is about, the long hours and the unsustainable work ethic, and that's obviously not what it is. I mean, people don't stay, like myself, in consulting for 20 years, 30 years. People don't retire from consulting at that pace. So if you want to maintain this long term, and you want to have a healthy career and a healthy relationship with your career, you're going to have some kind of work-life balance. And that's very important to avoid burnout. And to get there, you need to set some boundaries. So the first thing is, once you start working in a new engagement, project, initiative, whatever it is, you got to set boundaries. But you can't just walk in and kind of wing it. You have to already know what are those boundaries and what are the things that you are willing to do and not willing to do ahead of time. And that's part of your roadmap, that's part of your plan. And you have to manage expectations. A lot of people, they do work a lot and they work very hard and they are in some kind of leadership position and they think that, everyone has to work like that. And you have to make sure that you manage those expectations. I mean, it is true that there's a lot of work. And it is true that that work needs to be managed and needs to be done. But if you don't set those boundaries early on and manage those expectations, then you're setting yourself up for burnout. Now, as I mentioned a second ago, the work needs to be done, right? And there's a team of people who need to do it. So in order for you to be successful at that, you need to prioritize. You need to know how to juggle different things simultaneously. So I think people have said this like a million times. It's not work hard, it's work smart. So as part of developing that brand and developing that value, you need to also acquire a set of skills that allow you to prioritize things so that you can still get the work done while at the same time maintaining a certain level of work-life balance. And part of that includes leveraging the resources that are available to you. As I mentioned a second ago, there's network, there are resources that are people, human resources, but there's also other technical resources, which we're going to touch upon in a little bit. Now, the next thing that I want to tell you about is the competency development. What does that mean? So as part of developing your brand and your value, you need to, I guess, to say it bluntly, you got to get good. You have to be good at what you do. So you have to have a core competency, which is going to help you develop that brand, that value. And within that core competency, you need to continuously grow. Okay? So how do you get to that point? Number one, you have to continuously learn. There's no skill or there's no competency where you just learn it once and then you do it. I mean, if you think about any profession, things are changing constantly, and if you're stagnant, you're not going to be able to progress. So in consulting in particular, things move very fast, and there is always new people coming in, and as I said, there's always quote unquote competition. There are other professionals who are going to be there also to do their work, to be successful at their own careers, to make themselves noticeable. So you need to continuously grow and learn. If you're going to be in a technical consulting, then obviously your core competency is going to be technology based. But even if it's tech consulting, you still need to develop functional skills. You cannot stay stagnant with just one area of your career. In this case, technical. If you're a technical consultant and all you know is the technicalities of your work, then you don't understand the why. The people who consume the technology that you develop are people who are functional. They're business people. And if you don't understand why they're doing it, then you're gonna have a very narrow view of why you're doing what you're doing. So it's very important that as a technical consultant, you learn about the functional, and vice versa. If you are in management consulting, if you're in business consulting, and you don't have any idea about the technology, then you're in trouble. You have to also view how technology works so that when you're thinking through solutions for your clients, you think about the limitations that technology will have and the approach that technology consultants take in order to develop that solution appropriately. Something that's very important for developing your career is assembling what I call a tool set. So as you learn new skills and you create your brand and your value proposition, you're going to start to develop a set of tools, whether they are computer tools or information tools or learning tools, whatever it is. You have to have a tool set so that you can always go back to it every time you need something. If you need to develop a new skill quickly, boom, you have a way to do it. If you need to get someone, you have a network. You have to develop a tool set that have a direct relationship with your core competency so that you can always provide the best value possible. And if there's something you don't know, you can quickly fill that gap. Now, you need to also define and grow what's your subject matter expertise. I think I should have started with that. That's fundamental. You need to first know what is going to be your core competency. Because if you're going to develop your value prop and you're going to develop your brand, you need to know what is it that I want to do. So it's very fundamental that you not only define what that subject matter is, but you grow it over time. So that as people get to know who you are, You are strong with your core competency. And never forget to also prioritize the soft skills. As I mentioned a second ago, if you are good with your core competency, but you are unable to communicate properly, if you're unable to understand the needs, understand the why, see the big picture, a lot of these things are considered the soft skills. And if you don't have those soft skills, communication skills, presentation skills, you're not going to be able to shine. You're not going to be able to take that subject matter expertise that you have and make it shine and communicate it appropriately. So it is important that you develop the soft skills. Now, the next thing I want to tell you about is presentation. So it's a good segue from the competency development and the soft skills, because even though presentation skills are important, you also need to develop a presentation strategy. And what do I mean by that? I don't mean just presenting in front of people. I mean how you present yourself. I mean how you present your deliverables. I mean how you present and market everything that you bring to the table. So even if you have a great value proposition, you have a strong network, you're very good at what you do, if you cannot market effectively, then you're not going to be able to build that brand the way that you want. So in a way, it's almost like you're selling yourself, like you are the product and you're selling it. So in order for that to work, you need to be comprehensive about the entire strategy. That includes a polished presence. You have to try to make yourself look the best that you can. And I think you've heard it before a million times. It's you have to look the part. But back in the day, that meant wearing a suit, a tie. I'm old school. But nowadays, things have changed with the new generations. The way you look is not necessarily very formal. However, you still have to look the part, because how others perceive you is still very important even today. You also have to have what I call a personal narrative. What that means is many, if not all of the successful people that I have met over my career, they always have a story or a backstory, or they're very good storytellers. So you have to create a narrative for yourself as well, so that as you meet new people, as you become part of different situations, new situations, you always have a way for people to get to know you very quickly. So you need to develop that personal narrative so that you can share it with others, so that you can make it part of introducing yourself to new people, things of that sort. Okay, executive demeanor. What I mean by that is you have to always behave your best. If you look good and you have a good story and you're able to sell yourself, but you don't act ethically, you don't have an executive presence, it's really not going to be that impactful. Not everybody can play the part. Not everyone has that, but you should try to come across as someone who is a leader, someone who's very confident, and that comes naturally if you do all of these things. If you're strong with what you do, if you're confident, if you're competent at what you do, you will develop confidence. And if you develop confidence, people can see the value in what you bring, and it all comes together. You also have to be precise, and I must say it's very difficult sometimes to be precise at what you say and have the exact words that you need. But if you can, most of the time, be crisp and clear about the message that you're trying to convey, that is the very best way to market yourself and create a good presence. Now, the last one that I wanted to bring up is not always easy. It's not everyone has the presence, the look for it, and it's difficult to develop. But the most successful people that I have seen, they always have some sort of gravitas. They always have some sort of attractive trait and influence. That it could be the way they look, it could be the way they speak, it could be the personal narrative, it could be how intelligent they are, how competent they are. There's a lot of things that you can use to get to that point, but you definitely want to get to the point where people want to know about you, they want to learn from you, and that's going to help you grow over time. Next thing I want to tell you is, next thing that I consider to be very important for a successful consulting career is benefits. Now, I don't mean just company benefits. Yes, those are important, but there are other benefits to being in a consulting career. So, for example, there is education opportunities. Like I mentioned a second ago, you cannot stop learning. But some people actually take advantage of that, and many companies give you the ability to get an MBA. If you get the ability to get an MBA and your company helps you, take it. If you have the ability to go take courses outside, take them. You can get certifications, take them. You can be exposed to other companies. Actually, you will be exposed to other companies as part of your day-to-day. So that will help you learn about how other companies do things, how other industries work, how all of that comes together for them, and that will make you a better, more well-rounded professional. And last but not least, a lot of companies offer some sort of health benefit, wellness benefit, mindfulness. Leverage all of that, because you're going to be in a high speed, fast paced career. You're going to need to slow down. You're going to need to take care of your body. You're going to need to, stay well, work-life balance, and a lot of companies have those opportunities for you to take advantage of that. Take it. All of these things are going to help you with everything else that I just mentioned. Now, last thing that I wanted to bring as the key thing that you need to do, or you should do, for a successful, thriving career in consulting, technology, of course. Why is that important? Whether you're a tech consultant or a business consultant, management, strategy, whatever kind of consulting you're in, you're going to use technology. But it's not just the technology that you're good at if you're a tech consultant. It's also things that are out there available to you. What is the most important one? And the first one I listed, AI. Now, a few years ago, there was no AI, or if there was, it wasn't as impactful or important or even useful. But nowadays, AI is extremely useful. So even if you're in a completely separate field that has nothing to do with AI, AI is going to come for you. So unless you're ready for it, AI may even replace you. So if you don't want to be replaced by AI, you have to know how it works, what it's good for, and how to leverage it in your day-to-day. Productivity tools. Oh yeah. As I mentioned, as part of your tool set, you're going to need to know how to use these productivity tools. If you're a professional in some sort of ERP or a tech consultant in some sort of specific system, you still need to know these tools. Why? Because this is what you're going to be using on a daily basis to produce your deliverables, to document them, to present them, to communicate with others. If you know how to use these tools and your list is bigger than just Excel and Microsoft Word, and you actually know how to leverage all of the tools that are available out there that are not necessarily Microsoft Office, that's going to make your work much, much simpler, faster, and better, and even cleaner. You also have to be on top of technology trends. Why? Because even though technology may not have a direct impact on how you deliver your work or the type of work that you do, as technology trends change, those things can have an indirect impact on your work. And if you're not on top of that, then you're going to be left behind. And other people who are on top of that are going to get better and get more efficient, and you're not. and that's not going to help your value, and that's not going to help your brand. The last thing I wanted to bring up was the importance of social media. I know I'm old school. I don't necessarily use a lot of social media for personal purposes, but when it comes to professional purposes, you definitely have to make use of it. Social media nowadays is spread across a multitude of platforms. You get visibility across a multitude of areas, and different people around the world is now able to have access to you through social media. And that's why if you make use of it and you are on top of it, you're going to have the ability to reach a lot more people than you would normally do using the conventional methods. Whew. So that was quite a handful. I know, right? Well, what's next? So next up, for each one of these pillars that we just discussed, the plan is to have individual videos where we can expand more on not only the what, but the how. What do I mean by that? How are we going to be able to develop those skills? How are we going to be able to complete those tasks? How are we going to be able to grow? That is the plan for next. So I hope that you enjoy this content. If you do, please subscribe, like. I really appreciate your feedback if you want to leave a comment, and we'll see you next.